Welcome to the Blockchain Hustle, where I take a look at some interesting plays of how blockchain technology is opening up new business vistas across multiple industries. I'm all for helping create a safe working environment, but I do want to control, or at least know with a certain degree of certainty, on who accesses my COVID health report, for what and when. How can I be sure that it is not misused or tampered with? Hi, this is your host, Meenu Serene, with the fifth episode of the series, Blockchain in the New Norm. Now, in the previous few episodes, we have been looking at some e-health or immunity passport blockchain-based solutions for a safe back to work. The previous three shares included solutions from one was from SIGPA Open Health Guard Time Consortium. There was another one from a team comprising ICC, International SOS, Perlin, and AOK Pass. And there was a third one called the QDX Health ID from Quantum Materials. Now, today's share is on a somewhat variant. It's a solution from UK's Open University, and it uses a very interesting concept, something called solid pod. It uses the solid pod for storing the immunity data, and this does address the apprehensions that I mentioned at the episode start. Now, the immunity certificates, they involve the use of a solid pod. A solid pod is it's a decentralized personal data store, and along with the solid pod, it uses a consortium blockchain. And the consortium blockchain holds your encoded hashes, a kind of a key for the certificates, and it serves as an immutable and a trusted registry. So the whole thing is about having your certificate in the pod and the hash as to where the certificate can be traced as onto a blockchain, and that's a consortium blockchain. Now, before I talk about this project, let me touch base with you on this concept of a solid pod. Now, SOLID, which actually is an acronym for Social Linked Data, is a web decentralization project, and it is led by the worldwide web inventor, Professor Tim Berners-Lee. And it is a new web infrastructure which rethinks how the web applications they store and they share the personal data. It's a very interesting concept. So to understand this, let's look at some of these social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and others. Now, you post and share the data on them. And this data resides on these company servers. And you may not be sure as to who is accessing that data, how is it being used, and if it gets monetized, you surely are not in the picture. You do not own your own data. Solid offers a true data ownership. The users have the freedom to choose where their data resides and who, and by who I mean which entities, which applications can use it. It has a modular design, so users can switch between the applications and the personal data storage servers without losing any data or social connections. So it is like if I have created and shared some data on Facebook, and tomorrow I shift to, let's say, a Facebook clone, I can transfer all my data from Facebook to this Facebook clone. It's my data. Now, the concept mainly is that instead of a company storing all your personal data in their servers, you get to keep your personal data on your own pod, a personal pod. Pod actually is also an acronym for Personal Online Data Store. And you can host your pods anywhere you desire, just like your websites, you can put it anywhere you want. And you control the way you interact with the various applications. You give them the permission to read, to write, to access your pod. And whenever you want to stop an app from using your data, you just revoke that access. And you're not just restricted to one pod. You can have multiple. Like you can keep one pod for your health profile, one for your financial information, one you could keep it only for your contact information. So it's like, suppose if you have to go to a pub and you need to show your ID out there. The only details that those guys need to check in your identity proof is that you're 18 years old, or whatever is the minimum age that is required in that pub for that matter, and the photograph in that ID card matches with your face, with whatever they're seeing right now. They don't need to know any other extra details. So why do you need to show them that? So what you can do is you can put all the requisite or only the requisite information in your identification part. It's your own personal secure filing system. And this should set the path for freedom from your data silos and return the data ownership to its creators. And that is why I find it fascinating. So let's get back to the solution of the safe back to work using the solid board. Now, UK's Open University has come out with a mobile application, and this app can certify your COVID-19 immunity test result, and it uses a consortium blockchain for the testing and the verification of these test results and any other certificates that are in the picture. The pod, as I said in the beginning, the pod stores the certificate, the test result, and a hash of it, the encoded key of that, is stored in a consortium blockchain. So it is immutable. And the blockchain also acts as a public key registry for signing of the various transactions. So how does it work? Let's take an individual, say Lisa. And Lisa has a decentralized identity stored on her solid board. And a hash of that decentralized identity, it is sent and stored on the blockchain. Now Lisa goes to the pharmacist to get tested for COVID. For an identity proof, the pharmacist, what he does is, he uses an app on his smartphone and he reads Lisa's identity details. And these details are the ones which Lisa authorizes or allows from her own solid board. The pharmacist then hashes this identity and compares it with a corresponding hash onto the blockchain. And that is how, if a match is done, that means the identity proof has been okay. Then the test is done and then the result of the certificate is created. The certificate is stored, sent and stored on Lisa's solid board. And the hash of the certificate is also sent to the blockchain. Now comes to the verification part. So let's say Lisa's employer, say Bob. Bob needs to check her COVID status. So what he does is he whips out his phone, uses the app, and he reads the QR code from Lisa's phone. And this QR code has got Lisa's COVID certificate and also the URL, the address of the certificate's hash on the blockchain. And this app on Bob's phone, it locally generates a hash of Lisa's certificate, which she has shown, and compares it with the hash which is stored on the blockchain. And you get an instant verification of your test results. And Lisa's personal information gets to be stored, protected, and shared at her discretion. Now, these are the reasons why I found this solution interesting. The first one is that it is a tamper-proof linking of the health certificate with a personal identity. So you have the certificate and you have the hash which is stored on the blockchain. You cannot have a person using somebody else's certificate at a particular venue. So it kind of mitigates the fraud or any kind of a forgery for that matter because it's immutable on the blockchain. There is a privacy and a control over one's personal information because you have your decentralized identity. And this identity with the personal information is stored and it is shared only at the user's discretion. So it would avoid any kind of a misuse. It's an instant verification. There is no need for a document or some kind of a communication to go up and down. And this verification is both for the identity as well as for the health certificate. And another brilliant part of it is that it is readily scalable. And when I say scalable, it is both in numbers and types. Numbers is as in the number of people. And the type is it could be extended on to any kind of a health record, not just the COVID-19 record. So this was a share on a few solutions for safe back to work. And these are all blockchain-based solutions. In my next episode, I will talk about the safe back to business, which is how can we get an enterprise back safely to business with its stakeholders. So do stay tuned for that. Until then, stay safe. Cheers. You've been listening to the Blockchain Hustle. Did you enjoy this podcast? If so, please do leave a short review, like it, share it, download it, subscribe to it. What should I talk about next? Please do let me know your suggestions by writing to me at meenu@vlsiconsultancy.com or through any of the other contact channels as shared in the episode notes. Thanks.